Nebraska Cornhuskers for, I'm just going to combine two reaction videos. Cornhuskers versus Purdue Boilermakers. Well, they did enough in the first half to keep the game close. Continue to keep it close in the second half. Except as usual, they're able to make enough plays. They're able to play a great game as far as keeping the game close in the first half and second half. Except they're not able to execute a high amount of successful offensive plays needed to win a close game. Their defense can't defend when needed, including didn't defend when needed, including giving up a touchdown late in that fourth quarter, making it very unlikely that they would be able to beat a good Boilermakers, talented Boilermakers team, which is a good team with a winning record, and proven to be actually a great team as for November 6th, because they end up easily scoring more than 31 points and defeating a undefeated Michigan State Spartans team. Then there was today, I made a prediction, ended up having a prediction about them beating the Buckeyes, outplaying the Buckeyes, including they would score more points, outscore them. And that's greatly proven wrong, mainly because their defense didn't defend when needed. They didn't execute more successful offensive plays than the Buckeyes, and they didn't win the turnover battle. They didn't execute more successful offensive plays than the Buckeyes, and they did not. The defense didn't defend when needed, because this is a team where they did show some signs of life. They did, because they were able to score a touchdown, reduce the lead, get it down to 23-17. So they showed they had the capability to reduce the lead, but they weren't able to do anything beyond that. After that, they weren't able to score a critical touchdown, and then score an extra point to take the lead 24-23. So that was very disappointing, because they were playing a great Buckeyes team. They weren't able to defeat a great Buckeyes team because the Buckeyes defense the Buckeyes were able to outscore them in the first half 17-10, and they were able to outscore them in the second half to win a exciting close game. And it's just the same story as usual. For they end up not able to get a stop, and the Buckeyes are able to score needed points to increase that lead, to make it very unlikely that the Cornhuskers would be able to actually win that game, which they didn't, because they got outplayed by a great Buckeyes team. So it's just extremely disappointing, as usual, that Cornhuskers are going to do Charlie Brown stuff. They'll do enough to keep the game close, keep it entertaining, except they're not able to execute enough successful offensive plays needed to win a close game against any winning team. And their defense obviously cannot defend when needed. So yeah, it's just extremely disappointing that this is not a rebuilding Cornhuskers team. Except as usual, they do enough to keep the game close and entertaining, except they're not able to execute a high amount of successful offensive plays needed to defeat a winning team, and their defense can't defend when needed, giving up points, which they did versus the Buckeyes in both the first half and the second half. And so the whole Cornhuskers have a winning record has been removed, because they end up losing today. So now it's going to be another losing season for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and it'll be very interesting to see if Scott Frost still has a job. Not because he's not mainly because this is going to be another losing season, and so no progress has been made for, again, another season where no progress was made as far as, which would be the Cornhuskers having a winning season and going to a bowl game. That would be progress. But since that can't happen, it's another, they have an underachievement season where they don't have a winning season and they're not going to a bowl game. So it's just like really disappointing to, again, continue to watch where they have the talent to actually to play with like winning teams. They compete against winning teams because the games are usually they're close and they're entertaining, except they have not shown the ability to win these close games versus winning teams because they can't close in the fourth quarter, and if they get very close to closing the fourth quarter, then they can't close in overtime, as shown when they played the Spartans. So it's just extremely disappointing, which is why I'm just happy that I'm also a Tennessee Volunteers fan, football fan, but also because they're a team that has been able to close in the fourth quarter, including they were able to beat a Kentucky Wildcats team that has a winning record. So it'll be interesting final 3 games because now the Cornhuskers are not going to be able to make it a bowl game, and since Cornhuskers can't have a winning season and they won't be able to go to a bowl game, so it'll be interesting to see them play for their final 3 regular season games.